You're listening to a Life in Quebec podcast. For more, visit lifeinquebec.com.
Hi, I'm Michael Bourguignon with Life in Quebec, and I'm in jail. We're actually here at the Morin Centre, which is a historic library, cultural centre, and a jewel of the English-speaking community of Quebec City. Along with this jail cell, which was erected, I believe, in 1812, it's really one of the hidden treasures of Quebec City. And here to shed some light on this historic site is the Executive Director of the Morin Centre, Barry McCullough. So Barry, what I want to do first is just take us through the history of this building, what it's been, because it's not always been a library, and tell us, end with what it is today.
Well, thanks, Michael. Thanks for coming to jail with us here at the Morin Centre. But as you said, the building is a lot more than a jail, but it was built in 1812 as the first purpose-built prison in Quebec City, known as the Quebec City Common Jail. It was housed here until 1867 when it closed due to overcrowding. The jail then moved to the Plains of Abraham where the Musée des Beaux-Arts is today. In 1868, the Morin College moved in here, which was a Protestant college affiliated with McGill University in Montreal, and a diploma from here was the equivalent to a diploma from McGill. At the same time, the Literary and Historical Society of Quebec moved in, and they operated the library jointly. The college maintained its operations here until 1902 when it closed, and then essentially the main purpose of the building was the library of the Literary and Historical Society of Quebec. Now, for decades there were parts of the building that remained largely unused or underused, and the building fell into a state of disrepair. And in the early 2000s, the board of the Literary and Historical Society of Quebec, which is the organization that runs the Morin Centre today, undertook just a massive restoration project that cost a total of approximately $4 million, with funds coming from all three levels of government and the private sector. And that was finished in 2011, early 2011. And since that time, we've been fully operational as the Morin Centre. The Morin Centre being inaugurated officially in 2006, but actually fully ready to go in 2011. And today it's the cultural hub for activities that take place in English, cultural activities such as our Imagination Writers Festival, which will be celebrating its 7th year in 2016. We're already really quite far advanced in the planning stages for that. We have a number of cultural activities from music, literature, historical conferences, and other. We of course have the beautiful library, which has been, I guess, a pillar of the English-speaking community for a number of years now. And we have a lot of other things going on, such as guided tours, which you'll be taking a little bit later on. A lot of people know us through our rental spaces. We have a number of rooms, such as the library, our ballroom, that we do rent out for functions. So that's also really helped grow the profile of the Morin Centre and have us be better known throughout the whole community. And although it is a place where English-speaking events do take place, and most of our cultural activities do take place in English, about 40% of our members are actually Francophone. So it just shows that we are a bridge between the two communities. We're very welcome, and we're more and more present in the Francophone community of the Quebec City region.
And the tours, of course, are given both in English and French.
Yeah, they are. They're given daily through the busy busy tourist season, which is essentially May through October. We do have a number of groups, cruise ships, school groups, other groups that come through, and they're both English and French. All of our guides are fluently bilingual, so yeah, we have, and it's almost 50-50 English-French tours that we give. So.
Okay. Let's have a sneak peek at that tour. Eve Lheureux is a tour guide here at the Morin Centre, and she's agreed to give us a sneak peek of the tour that she gives people who come to visit the Morin Centre, with a focus on the jail cells. I understand quite a few infamous people have been behind these bars. Can you tell us about a few of them?
Of course. There was Philippe Aubert de Gaspé, the famous writer of Quebec. He wrote the famous novel called Les Anciens Canadiens. He was the prison's sheriff for a couple of years, and then afterwards he was imprisoned in his own prison for debt. After that, we have a really famous patriot called Étienne Parent. He was a journalist for the journal called Les Canadiens also. He was in prison for high treason in this very jail.
Well, what did he do exactly?
He was a patriot. He joined the rebellion against the British government here.
Okay, so as a member of the Patriot, he was thrown in jail.
Yeah, and he wrote also articles in the newspapers that were considered in favor of the rebellion.
Okay.
So that's why he was convicted for high treason.
Now, he would not be thrown in jail today, I would think.
Not here.
We hope not. Not here.
No.
Not here. Okay. So tell us about a few more people.
Yeah, there was also, there was a really famous serial killer. He's a part of the, we could say, the legends of Quebec City. He was known as Dr. L'Indien. His name was François Marois. He was a folk doctor, and he was convicted and hanged for his crime in 1829 because he murdered a peddler in Saint-Jean-Port-Joli. But he entered legend because when he was hanged in 1829, he admitted to have done things way worse than what he just did with the peddler. And afterwards, they found in his ancient house many bodies buried in the basement. But after that, well, it's more of legend because they found out that it was just an ancient cemetery that used to be there.
Aha.
So was he really a serial killer? We don't really know. But he was imprisoned in here also.
One of the myths of Quebec City.
Yeah.
Now, another myth that most people know about is La Corriveau. Now, apparently, La Corriveau did have some sort of connection to this site.
Yeah, really. Actually, she was imprisoned in the Royal Redoubt. It was a building that used to be standing on this very ground, where the Morin Centre is today. It was part of the fortifications of Quebec City, and it was used partially as a jail. And that's in this very building that La Corriveau was imprisoned. But after that, the Royal Redoubt was destroyed, and they rebuilt a new prison on top of it in 1812, the Quebec Common Jail.
Okay. And now, some people were hanged just outside this building, right?
Yeah, just above the front door, actually.
Okay. Are there any remnants of that? Anything that we can see from that time?
Not really. Not that I know of. Well, no, we don't have anything left of the balcony where they did the executions.
Well, we can certainly use our imaginations.
Yeah, of course. You'll think about it when you enter the building, when you come over.
We get shivers just thinking about it.
Yeah.
But now there are quite a few interesting features. Not a lot of people get a chance to visit a jail cell, but there are quite some interesting features in this location. We have a graffiti that you've seen, that you discovered.
Exactly. Well, there are many in all the cells. Well, in the blocks that we have today, we have initials, drawings too, full names, checkers games too.
Okay.
Yeah.
So people found ways to spend their time while in solitary confinement. Is there something like that here as well?
Yeah, there's something like that here as well.
Okay.
Exactly, you're right. Something that you could experience also if you come over here.
In what sense?
Well, during the tour, we are suggesting to the visitors if they want to try one of the punishments that used to be done here, inflicted to the prisoners. And there's one of the cells in the remains of the prison that where we can close the doors and put the visitor in the total darkness. So that's
Why?
What?
Why would anybody do that?
Well, to really feel and experience the life of a prisoner at the time.
Okay.
Because it's really disorienting.
Disorienting, yes. And there were quite a number of different kinds of punishments. So right now we're in block A6, if I'm correct. And this is the exhibit area where there are quite a few artifacts. Tell us about some of the things that people can see when they come here.
Actually, you have a beautiful pillory from the 19th or 18th century. I'm not really sure exactly. It's a double pillory too, so you can have your friend beside you to spend the time while you're being thrown at rotten tomatoes and rocks at a public place.
So bring a buddy.
Yeah, bring a buddy. We have a ball chain, a cat o' nine tails also for the flagellation,
Wow.
for the whipping. We have bottles of medicine. We have a toothbrush, also an old shoe. We have shackles.
Okay.
A bit of everything. They were found in the latrines actually.
In the latrines
Yeah.
during excavation work.
Yeah, exactly. Well, archaeological excavations were done
Okay.
here.
And when was that?
Good question. I don't really know the date exactly of the excavations.
Okay, but people can find out when they come here.
Yeah.
Now, you mentioned that there are actually shackles. There are iron rings in the jail cells that people can see.
Oh, yeah. Yes. They're still inside the floor of the prison, screwed in the floor.
How long does the whole tour take?
Between 45 minutes, could go in between an hour. Well, depends on how curious you are and how many questions you ask.
Okay. What kind of questions do people typically ask?
Was the ceiling of the prison really meant to look like this? Because it's curved.
Okay.
It's got a special shape. They ask about that. They ask about the graffitis. They ask about things they see during the tour, objects. Well, for the prison part, you mean, for the questions?
Sure.
Yeah. Mostly that. If any famous prisoners came here. Also, what did the prisoners eat? Did they have beds or mattresses or blankets?
Okay.
Stuff like that.
To find out the answers to those questions, book a tour. Now, how would people book a tour to come here?
You could do it on the internet because we've got a website.
Okay.
You can call. Also, come also to the building a couple of minutes before the tour. I think that's all.
How many tours a day do you have?
Right now we're offering 8 tours a day, 4 in French, 4 in English.
Okay.
But then it's going to change for the winter time. It's going to be only the weekends beginning the 23rd of January.
Okay.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Because we're off season.
And www.morin.org is the website. Right?
Exactly.
Great.
2 hours.
Thank you so much for your time, Ed. We really appreciate it.
You're
Now,
welcome.
the jail cells are not the only feature of this fantastic building. There's a lot more to see. Let's take a look. Now, you can just imagine what it must have been like to stay in this dark, dank jail. Let's go see some more. Follow me. Now, some of the interesting features that Ev told us about before are right behind this door. So we've moved up from the main floor jails to the fourth floor, where we're back with Barry McCullough to tell us about Frankenstein's laboratory.
Well, it's not always Frankenstein's laboratory, but it does figure prominently in our annual Halloween activity, the Parcours de Part. But we're here in what was the science lab of Morin College, and it was a really interesting place, Morin College, and this lab in particular. We've had it completely restored during the restoration project, as I mentioned earlier, and we use it for all kinds of things today, from science activities for kids to private cocktails and things of that nature. We have a number of artifacts from the Literary and Historical Society of Quebec that are on display here, as well as a copy of the diploma. As I mentioned earlier, a diploma from Morin College was the equivalent of a McGill University diploma, and we have a reproduction of one of those here as well.
And last but not least, let's not forget that the Morin Centre is a library with more than 26,000 books and a 1779 statue of James Wolfe that has been around the world. It's survived a Molotov cocktail attack right here in the library, and it's just one of the many incredible features of this very historic building. I hope you've enjoyed this. Thank you so much for watching.
Thank you for listening to a Life in Quebec podcast. For more news, editorials, and opinion, visit lifeinquebec.com.